Good evening, everyone. It is Geegado Megwan here, Talking Feather Woman, which also means, which doesn't also mean, but I'm also known as Rollie Allaire, Holistic Life and Wellness Coach. And we are back again for Chatting with Wisdom with another 30-day gratitude challenge. And we have another special guest that is here to join us. And so I'm super excited to introduce Wendy. Actually, I'm going to let Wendy introduce herself because she is so dynamic and you will definitely love her. And so, for those of you who have not yet joined the gratitude challenge, I definitely invite you to do so. And if you are joining now, then just start where we are right now and then come back to the other days that have been missed. And you have lots of beautiful prompts that are inside the portal, as well as Wendy is going to have a special gift for you in the portal, as well as she's going to share a little bit more about something that she's been working on that you guys may be interested in, that I think that would be a wonderful place to start. So welcome back to day 10. And so Wendy, tell us a little bit more about you.
Oh, so excited. I love spending time with you, Rollie. The gratitude challenge. I love gratitude. It's something that I'm developing. And I mean, yeah, you say, oh, thank you for this, thank you for that. But it is a practice. Backtrack to a bit more about me, because, okay, you don't know me from Adam. I'm sitting here in Western Australia, so it's already Tuesday for me. So welcome to tomorrow if you're in North America. I work with speakers to get them from stage to stage. My big thing is, where is your message going? You as the speaker are the Uber driver. Where does your very important message need to go? Because I work with people to get onto TEDx. We've had one of the speakers I've worked with who has pitched recently in Cairo to the Egyptian government around designing accessible cities, new cities. So it depends on where your message needs to go. So that's a bit about me. I work with speakers. I also work with authors to get them from page to stage. And that's something I'm happy to talk about a little bit later. But let's get back to the gratitude. It's a practice. It's not simply a case of, somebody hands you a glass and you say, oh, cheers, thanks. It's more than that. And this is why I'm really excited to be part of Rollie's gratitude challenge. Rollie, what was the prompt for today?
So the prompt for today is actually, you and I were talking about this and how ironic, because Wendy was supposed to come on last week, but then there's just been lots of things going on and we had to juggle the day for her. And so it's about pick out 3 things that you dislike about yourself and tell something positive about each thing. But I'm going to let Wendy take that one.
Oh, well, I'm generally described as quirky. Now, I will take that as a compliment because, you can gather from the accent, I'm not Australian either. So if I was Australian, it would sound a bit more strong like that. However, I am a Brit, and living in Australia, that can be seen as a bit different. My vowels have shifted from the Scots, which is when I first arrived because I came in for Scotland. So my ability to be able to adapt how I speak to people can be seen as quirky. If I don't get it just right, it can sound like I'm taking the piss. For me, it's a form of building deeper rapport because I very consciously and very gently shift the way I speak. I'm listening to the words people use and how they say it. If there's a certain intonation pattern they have, then I will gradually move into that intonation pattern. So particularly here in Australia, they have the Bondi lift, where everything finishes with an up thing at the end of every sentence. And if I'm talking with somebody who is doing that all the time, then I will join in. It grates with me a bit, I have to say. And when it comes to if people are making a strong point they want to make, I keep saying to them, remember to come down at the end. Otherwise, if you keep going up, it sounds a bit apologetic and a bit weak, and I'm asking a question. And actually, no, you want to make a statement. You want to have some oomph about it, a bit of gravitas, in which case it goes down at the end. But that's one thing. So one of my quirks, consciously deciding not to take the piss and gently move into it's a trust thing, because people will want to know, are you like me? And if you are so far different, then is the gap bridgeable? So that's one of the things that I do, which is a bit quirky, and actually I'm quite proud of it. When it comes to rapport, I mean, if any of you know about NLP, you'll know about the matching and the mirroring. The classic thing of you're going out for a date, and if you both lift the glass at the same time, oh, there's chemistry. You know, that sort of thing. Well, this is where you can do it. My intonation pattern and the vowel shifts, that's a subtle auditory form of rapport. I do consider rapport being one of my superpowers. In a previous life, I was a speech pathologist. And I've worked out over the nearly 30 years I was in clinical practice, around 5,000 individuals. In that time, I would say there's only one person I failed to achieve rapport with. Oh, does that stick out to me very clearly who it was? So that's one of my quirks. What else can I tell you? I make kombucha. I love kombucha. Now, if you don't know what it is, it's fermented tea. Sounds disgusting, but it is it's actually rather nice. It's full of probiotics. And so I do it as a health thing. And I admit that I'm a little bit addicted to it. And it can be quite powerful. I've got the ceilings been remodeled by the mulberry, which exploded. The elderberry, I got wise to the elderberry and kept my thumb on the bottle as it opened. Nonetheless, the little elderberries went pish, and were bullets across the kitchen. So that's another of my quirks. But I have to tell you, my gut biome's very healthy.
And I've heard wonderful things about it, but I can't get through the fermentation taste.
Right. My second ferment is where I put the flavouring in. So I take it out of the mason jar and put it into smaller bottles, and that's where I put the different flavours in. So I have to tell you, strawberry's nice. The mulberry ends up a bit port-like. And I'm sure one or two of the brews have gone a little over into the alcoholic department.
Yeah, see, and I don't drink brew at all. So like that's where the fermentation, and I'm like, somebody's like, oh, this is really good. You should try it. And I love tea. Absolutely love tea. And I'm like, okay, I can drink this. Oh my gosh, no, I can't. It tastes like beer. So yeah.
Fair enough. Don't do it then. I mean, your body's clearly going,
Not for me.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Can I think of a third quirk? Good question. I'm not sure about a third one that coming to mind, but yes, I mean, I can talk from my country, as you've gathered, and being aware of when to shut up. That's a good one. Rollie, over to you.
So trying to come up with 3 quirks for me is pretty easy. One has to do with like sensory tasting, that kind of thing. And so like if it goes into my mouth, it may not necessarily be where it is that it's going to stay. I have like really deep, like, so when you're talking about like the fermentation and like when you were talking about the kombucha, all I could think about, and that's all that I can, like, I've got like all these little things going on inside my mouth. I'm like, oh, yeah.
No.
Right. But yet I am, so I've got this whole thing around what it is that I eat and what it is that I drink and how difficult it is for me to be able to get lots of variety into my life. But I can cook up a storm. I can make the best foods without tasting any of it, because it's like, it's not stuff that's going into my mouth, and I can cook amazing. And so, and I have, and these are one of the things that I hear from people all the time about, like, oh, you've got like all these like weird things around what it is that you eat and how much that you eat. But like, how did you get this? As they're like wolfing it in, like, how did you make this? Like, you didn't taste it. Like, you didn't check to make sure that it had the right flavoring, and what recipe did you use? And it's like, I don't use a recipe typically. It's like, just kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And yeah, that smells like right, like that. It should probably be okay. And that's how I make it. So I do follow some recipes, but for the most part, it's like, I just make whatever. Like, we made pulled pork tonight for dinner. I don't eat pulled pork. And like, everybody's slopping it on and enjoying it. And it's like, and my son took the rest of it home, and but I don't eat it. Like, I've never tasted it because I don't like the gravy. Like, it's not gravy, but like, I don't like that gravy texture. And so like, I had regular pork. That was what I ate. I didn't have anything else. And so like, yeah, so that's one of my my things that I definitely dislike about myself, because that was always something that was really difficult, was when we would go someplace, or I would go someplace, that I would always have to have a reason why, like, I wasn't eating. And now it's like, no, I just, like, now I can actually say I don't like that, and that's okay. But when I was little, it was like, that was completely, totally impolite. You don't go to somebody's house and you don't eat. So I had apparently a lot of allergies. So it's like, do you have toast and peanut butter? I can eat the toast and peanut butter. I can't eat these things, but I can have the toast and peanut butter. Or you know, I'm just gonna have a little bit of these potatoes, and like, I'm good with the rest. Because if you start putting like sauces and stuff on meats and like all that kind of stuff, it's like, yeah, that's not happening.
Is it? So, I'm being curious here. Is it a texture thing?
Both.
A taste thing?
It's both. So it's a texture and taste. So sometimes it has to do with the texture. Sometimes it has to do with taste. So like, same as like eating a banana, for example. I love eating bananas, but they need to be when they're just starting to, like, when they're just coming out of being green. That's when I can eat the banana. As soon as it becomes yellow, I can't eat the banana, because then it's a texture thing. So I can't eat the banana. And then because of the texture, like, I don't eat banana bread. I don't like the taste of the banana from the banana bread. So like, it's a taste and a texture, depending on what it is that's going on. So, but I make the best banana bread when I cook it, because apparently I made some this week and I didn't cook it all. My son sent me a picture and said, you kind of missed a spot. And I'm like, oh, I'll just eat around it. He's like, I did, but I just wanted to point it out to you. Thanks.
I mean, I'm with you on that. Sometimes it's texture, sometimes it's taste, but sometimes it doesn't even get that far. It's the smell.
Yes, if it smells, like, that's not happening. So lamb, I can't eat lamb. Okay. Like lamb, it doesn't matter how you cook it, what you do with it. I can smell it a mile away. And I've had different people say, oh, you're going to love my lamb. And I'm like, I walk into the house that you're cooking the lamb in, and I can't handle the smell of it. Yeah. So
that's me with bananas and honey.
Oh, really?
It's supposed to be really good, and I just cannot get past it. I really can't.
I love honey. Honey's one of my favorites. So what are some of the so what are some of the other things that I dislike about myself? I find that one really hard, because I've worked really hard not to dislike things about myself, like not to, for a long time, it was my hair. I really hated my hair. I hated the curliness. And today it was like, yeah, so like, it's all sweaty from like cooking all day. And that's what I said to Wendy. And years ago, that would have been like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to go jump in the shower first before I jump on with Wendy. Sorry, Wendy, I'm going to be late because I really need to go wash my hair first. And now it's like, okay, whatever. Like, I like the curliness of my hair. Whereas like, for a long time it was, and now that I like the curliness of my hair is getting gray. And so the curliness, apparently when you have gray hair, becomes more straight. So then I lose the curliness of my hair. So it's like, finally, when I get to the point that I love the curls of my hair, now I'm like getting straight. And I'm like, really? Really? Now? You guys got to do this to me now? And so And then the other thing in terms of things that I dislike about myself that I no longer dislike about myself is my laugh. So I am loud, I'm rambunctious. When I'm laughing, I'm definitely that Leo rising of like loud and rambunctious and rambunctious. And you can hear my laugh like a mile away. And again, I couldn't help the laugh, but it was like, oh my gosh, like people hear me. People hear me, people see me. Right now, it's like I laugh, and it's like not a big deal. And my laugh is oftentimes contagious. So, what's
Yeah.
not to like about that, right? So, it's.
And I love that word, rambunctious. Gorgeous word. Love it.
My mom is a Leo sun, and so I definitely get that Leo rise, and I'm a Leo rising. So that portion of like that outer appearance of things is that I'm very out there. So yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, those are my things about me. So now tell me a little bit, Wendy, about what is it that you're working on? Because I'm always really curious about what you're working on because you've always got such great things going on.
Well, you may have gathered that I'm mad. By the way, that is an acronym for making a difference.
I love that.
So we're having a mad year this year, and we're going with initially writing a multi-author book. So we have 10 authors in already. The 11th one is imminent, and we're looking for another 3 at least, because this is a way of sharing how you make a difference to a wider world. We have people so far signed up in New Zealand, Australia, Cambodia, Singapore, US. We're about to get a Canadian in. Go Canada. And this is why I'm really excited, because this is an opportunity to get your message of making a difference out globally. The team of authors work together as a team, and then they interview each other, and we get to know each other in the network, so that when it comes to our launch, we sit back and literally watch the dominoes go across the world. It takes about 19, 20 hours for everybody to have them come live on Amazon. And in that time, it's going, so, when's next? When's next? When's next? And it is so exciting. So forgive me for getting a bit passionate. Our author,
I love that whole excitement part of like going across the world, right? It's like watching, and I know that across Canada is different, but like watching the elections and like it's like, oh, okay, this person, oh, okay, this. By the time that they get to BC, unfortunately, we already know who's winning. So like that's kind of like really bad on that end. But in this case, it's like, oh, this excitement of like, oh wow, this book is now live in this area. This book is now live across this planet. This planet, you know.
yeah.
Some of our areas do feel like planets, don't they?
Yes, I've been part of a multi-author book that dropped in January. And that was so exciting, because of course New Zealand and Australia are lumped together. So we went first, and then you got the central bit, you got Asia, and then India, and then Europe, and then North America came in all together. And I think I think Hawaii did finally come in with them. But anyway, there were specific times, and you then jump onto Amazon and go, I have to tell you, we beat Jay Shetty to #1 in Australia because he launched the same day.
That is awesome. Not for him, but
so we're kind of thinking he's appearing in Sydney in June, and almost went, do you think we ought to drop him a note and go, do you want to meet the women who beat you?
I love that.
But yes, so as you can gather, mad, quirky, making a difference, and this is what we're working on at the moment. So we have people in from the health community, we have them in from the business and wealth community, and also relationships. So wow. It is a complete. Okay, do you remember Chicken Soup for the Soul?
I do.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like a modern day version of that with additional how-tos thrown in for good measure, because the original Chicken Soup for the Soul was lovely and inspiring, and that's where it left you. So these are authors who also add in a little bit of a how-to as well. So our vision is, okay, let's be honest, very few people sit down and read a physical book these days. Unlike in the old days with Chicken Soup for the Soul, when you could walk into a coffee shop and everybody was reading a physical copy. My vision is for everybody to be looking it on the Kindle, and for the physical copies to be in around as well. So that it's that.
I couldn't live without my physical copies. Like, and this is just a very small. I've got 3 bookshelves across the back that nobody can see.
I love physical copies, and like you, there's multiple books in this room and in my lounge room, and they're stacked. They're not just in the bookshelf; they're stacked in the front as well. And you think, I like a book, but I'm also aware that in this day and age, particularly if I'm traveling, I don't tend to take the tomes with me because they weigh heavy.
So I generally have 2, sometimes 3 versions of one particular book. I'll have it in audio so that when I'm driving, I can listen to the book. And then I can, when I am trying to read when my husband is sleeping without disturbing him, then I will then pull out my phone and read on my Kindle. And but otherwise, like climbing in the tub, I bring my book and I read in the tub, right? So sometimes it's like, okay, so where did I leave off on what part? Yes. So sometimes I have to like kind of shift through a few pages to try and figure out where I left off. But yeah, like I love books, but I really love the theme that you're talking about, Wendy, about like making a difference, because as you know, we do the women's conference, and there's so many women that, and not just women, because there's men that are participating with you as well, but like there's just so many people in the world that make a difference, and they don't realize how much of a difference that they make. So like at the women's conference, for example, I'm thinking of somebody who would certainly be a wonderful addition to your book if she would actually take that leap, because she has this message that during a break, she was a guest. She wasn't even a speaker. And so she was actually sharing something that was going on in terms of like where she wants to be able to make a difference and where she wants to be able to go. And she would be a perfect addition to making a difference, because there would be so many people who would benefit from the message that she has.
Yeah. Well, you see, the thing is, I mean, the reason that we're doing this collection, it's not a single themed book, is because, I mean, we've got one lady who's a hypnotherapist, and she's coming in under the relationship, the health thing. And yet anybody who's picking it up from a business perspective can go, oh, I'd never thought of that. That could be interesting. And again, from the relationships, well, if I get to the root of what's going on with me, I'm going to have better relationships elsewhere. So the idea is then that people who wouldn't necessarily have gone, hypnotherapy? Oh, that could, I need to get in touch with Margaret.
Absolutely.
So that's why we've done it. I mean, it's all very strategic, So getting in this collection of, they are eclectic stories, and all of them making a difference, which we are passionate about.
Well, and I love how, like, a lot of times, like when we have, because I've been part of the co-authored books on a number of levels, but being able to have, like, I love the making a difference part of it, because it's that addition of like, okay, now what to do? So here's my story, but here's what to do so that you can take it to that next level, or that you can take this to the next step. So I love that. I love that piece that I think is often missing in the collaboration.
Yes. Yeah. So that's what we're excited about.
I love that.
Absolutely mad.
Absolutely mad. So one of the things, so how can they get a hold of you? So how can...
Oh, sure. I think you're putting in the information about our freebie, which is...
Yeah, that's going to be in the portal.
Sure. Speaker's Toolkit. Now, in terms of how to get hold of me with regard to the Mad book, we've got a landing page which you can find. Will I give that to you?
Sure. Are you on the computer? Because you should be able to put it in the comment section, I think.
Oh, hang on 2 seconds and I will get that up.
Because if you can't, you can put it in the private chat, but I think that you can comment. Okay. I know that if you're on your phone, that's not something that's readily accessible, but on a computer, you should be able to.
Yep.
Oh,
there you have it.
Yeah, it's in the private chat. So I'm going to take that.
You want to put it in comments? So beg your pardon.
Oh, yep.
Can I?
I don't know. Can you?
No. Some destinations won't get comments. Live viewer comments show up on StreamYard. As this is an example. I don't see how to do that. It's not giving the option.
Okay, so then, and I just put it back in the private chat.
Yeah.
That doesn't help anybody.
Okay. Well, we can sort it out. We can sort it out.
There you go. Okay, so now it's going in there. So for anybody,
there we are. Yes.
So anybody who's catching the audio version of this, or on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn doesn't allow us to post it in the comments. So but I'll go back and I'll find the link and put it in there. Okay. And but it is HTTPS www, or hang on a second, HTTPS : // then www.ywhp.events / making - difference. So that is how you can actually find it. So if you're catching the audio version of this, because I will be sharing this on the podcast site as well. Ooh. So like if you are catching this, then I definitely want to make sure that you are able to find this. And for those of you who are already in the challenge, then it will also be added inside the portal so that you can actually go and find Wendy's information, and that I will be adding as soon as we are done tonight, and or this morning in Wendy's case, and be able to get that in there for you guys to be able to have access, because I think that this is a brilliant way of being able to make that difference in the world, literally, with the name of it, but being able to make a difference in the world and being able to put it out there so that others can actually benefit from the wonderful wisdom that you have and being able to share that. So thank you so much, Wendy. Can you share about your practice? Like, so what do you do in terms of gratitude? So do you have a practice of gratitude?
I do. I start the day, admittedly not every day, but my aim is I start the day with the Magnificent Five. Something that I am profoundly grateful for. And that requires a little thought. Something that I take for granted. One that came up recently was perforations. You know, the things that mean that you can pull your toilet roll off and your kitchen paper. And they're also the things that enable you to infuse your tea, because the tea bags have got perforations, that sort of thing. I mean, you take it for granted. Third thing is something that on the surface looks not good, really not good. What can you be grateful for in that situation? That takes a bit of thought, that takes a bit of reframing, but you'll be surprised how, if you can manage that, the crappy situation can feel different. Mm-hmm. Fourthly and fifthly, free for all, whatever you like. The idea is that those are different every day. If you can commit to 30 days of doing that, as we're doing in Rollie's wonderful gratitude practice, you will be amazed at how many profound things you can come up with, and how the crappiness in the middle of the day, in the middle of your five, just suddenly take on a different light. Mm-hmm. That's how I start the day. I finish the day. Sorry, I'm going the wrong way for you. How I finish the day is with, I write in my journal, my trusty journal, at the end of the day, celebrations. 9 o'clock in the evening, my alarm goes on, which is Kool and the Gang. Do you remember? Celebrate good times, come on. That is my cue to stop and write down what I'm celebrating from the day. And then at the end of it, I put my top 5 things that I want to achieve the day after. So it's down, data dump on the page, so that when I go to bed, my mind's not going, oh, God, what have I got to do? What have I got to do? What have I got to do? And I get a better night's sleep.
Beautiful.
So I entail the day.
I love that. I love how you actually have that on both ends. And because I think that that's something really important. And very interestingly, that you said you've got your timer that actually goes off with a song that says, okay, it's time for you to be able to stop what you're doing and celebrate. And so we have alarms that go off throughout our entire household for my mother-in-law to be able to help remind her to take her medication, to make sure that she's drinking, and to do her exercises and to do all these things. And so we just have all these alarms that go off throughout our household at different points. But I never thought about doing that, to say, hey, Rollie, it's time to stop doing what you're doing and go and journal. I love that one.
I mean, I do have written alarms as the alarm comes up. And one of the things I was checking earlier on, because I've got an alarm that usually goes off at 8 o'clock, and I wanted to make sure it wasn't going to go off while we were talking. And there will be a written prompt on my phone. And I love the fact that, I mean, those are things like the radar, you know, the anything. Yeah, okay, that's your average phone ringtone. But when I've there's another one. I love True Colours, you know, Cyndi Lauper, True Colours.
Yes.
I see your true colours shining through. And my prompt is there, are you shining?
Nice.
That goes off at midday and again at 6 o'clock in the evening.
Beautiful. I love that.
Thank you.
So that is beautiful. I'm thinking that I'm going to implement some other things.
Cool. Cool.
So that's really cool. So like when we have to get a wake up by our blasted alarms in the morning, I don't typically have to get up to an alarm typically, because the way that my schedule is set is that I typically can just kind of go with the daylight hours. And so because I work more evenings than I do daytime, like first thing in the morning. And so, but my husband's goes off. And so I've actually set it up so that when the alarms go off, whether it's mine or his, it doesn't matter, that we created a playlist. I created a playlist from the conference from different women who had actually shared, like, oh, this is one of my favorite songs. This is my motivational song. This is my motivational song. And so I compiled a number of songs so that when the alarms go off, that when we turn off the alarm, so like not if he says snooze, but when he actually turns it off, that it actually starts playing from this morning playlist, and it plays for an hour with all this inspiration that is actually happening. And so to the point where that now it goes off in the morning and my husband's actually singing some of the songs. So I think that's kind of cool. So he's like,
oh yeah. Well, that's it. I mean, music is phenomenally important in bypassing the conscious brain. I mean, you listen to a tune, particularly if it was significant to you at a time in your life, and you're transported straight back to that memory. So, I mean, I can still remember, vulnerable share here, learning my pluperfect tense in French and setting the endings and setting it to music. So I got AIS, AIS, AIT, IONSIZ, AIENT. Hello, that is 50 years ago. I mean, good grief. You set something to music and you will remember it. So that's the power of songs. There you go. Your husband's going off in the morning, all inspired. Thank you, Rollie.
I love it. And when he did that earlier, I think it was last week, that like he was like, we were listening to it and he was like, or like it came on and he was like, I think on song 3, and he's like humming and singing the words to the song. It was like
gorgeous.
I love it. So one of the things that I will be doing on that playlist is that just to kind of change things up a little, is that taking some of the songs from the end and changing the playlist order. But like right now, this is the playlist order that I've been using since the conference that I've shared with other people. That it's like, hey, this is my, and it's in the portal as well. I actually shared that inside the portal as my morning playlist. So if ever that you guys have some things that you guys want to be able to share in terms of tools that you guys are like, hey, this is what I do, then let me know. And I am more than happy to add that to our gratitude challenge so that people have more tools and resources that we can actually use to be able to bring that about. So thanks again, Wendy, for coming on. I love having conversations with you. And for those of you who don't know that Wendy and I were actually having a conversation for probably about 25 minutes before we even got started on the live. And here we are. We still have this much to talk about. So this is wonderful. So I love this. And so thanks again, Wendy, for coming on. And so do you want to talk about your free gift that you have that is in the portal?
The free gift in the portal is at the bottom of our landing page on YWHP, which stands, by the way, for Your Words Have Power. And they do. They really, really do. We've talked about how the music's involved. The power, and particularly in the intention of those words, is phenomenally important. At the bottom of that page, well, actually all the way through, there are buttons to go to our ebook. Now, ebook is a bit of a loose term. There's an awful lot of video material in there, going through the 9 pillars of influential communication, like a speaker's toolkit. So if you've ever thought about getting yourself on a stage, and it could be doing a live, it could be in front of people, it could be in front of one of Rollie's wonderful summits. I was there this year. Big plug. Next year, she's already taking sign-ups. How do you get to be influential? I've developed 9 pillars, and that's what this ebook's about. So if you've got any thought about being an influential speaker, and as I said, it doesn't necessarily have to be to a large group. It can be to anybody, and it might even be to the most important person that you talk to. Go check it out and give me some feedback. Let me know what you think.
I love that. So thank you so much, Wendy. And so again, for those of you who are following these lives, I will be back on tomorrow morning. And so we don't have any more evening times, I believe, that are coming up, but we do have more guests that are coming on. So you don't know when they're coming. So you definitely want to be able to tune in. And so thank you again. And for those of you who are catching this on the podcast replay, then come and join us and come and have some fun with us. So bye, everybody. Talk to you guys soon.
Bye-bye.